Across the Fence, we spotlight the University of Vermont Center on Aging. With our aging population, we'll learn about the center's important work in areas like research, education, and public policy. Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. It's well documented that a major demographic shift is underway. Our population is aging, not only in Vermont, but nationally and internationally as well. The shift will have significant ramifications on important programs, such as entitlements like Social Security and our health care. UVM's Center on Aging is playing an important role in identifying and understanding the challenges posed by our aging population and in finding solutions to those challenges. Joining me are the Center's Director, Dr. Bill Pendlebury, and the Center's Executive Director, Jeannie Hutchins. Thanks so much for joining us today.
You're welcome, Judy.
Now, the Center on Aging is beginning its 6th year. What are some of your major accomplishments and successes?
Well, Judy, I think one of them is our continued collaboration with the Fletcher Allen Healthcare and their elder care department. We support them in programs such as NICH, which is nursing education around elders, and the HELP program, which is a delirium prevention program. We also, each of them, the university and Fletcher Allen, bring to the table some expertise and some advocacy, and we're working very well together, and we're glad that that partnership has continued.
And the center has 3 core areas of focus. One is education. Can you talk a little bit about why education is so important and what you've accomplished in education?
So what we've accomplished I'm very proud of several programs that we've launched and continue to sponsor. We have 2 gerontology symposia that we sponsor every year, one in the northern part of the state and one in the southern part of the state, and we have educated almost 500 people per year, people who have direct relationships and provide services to people, elders in the community. We'll be sponsoring 2 symposia again this year, in 2015. We've also, Jeannie and I have both been mentors for groups of medical students at the College of Medicine to encourage them around issues related to aging and promote careers in aging. I continue to function as the course director for an annual AHEC Geriatrics Conference that provides up-to-date information for primary care providers in the state of Vermont. So there are a lot of areas where we have our fingers in the education pie that we've developed and continue to sponsor.
Now, you mentioned the symposium. What are some of the topics or issues that may be discussed during this?
Well, overall, the goal of the symposia is to promote education around best practice in terms of developing or delivering services to elders. This year, the symposia are going to focus on dementia and aspects of dementia care and re-educate people about up-to-date information about what's going on in the world of dementia and Alzheimer's disease, and how can we do a better job of providing services to people with dementia and their families.
Now, it's interesting because, I mean, people have been aging forever, but all of a sudden it seems like this is becoming more and more of a hot topic. Is it just because that population is growing, or is it there's so much more research, or is it both?
It's probably both, but I think the main driver is the fact that we are an aging population, and it has to do with people like me who belong to the baby boom generation, and we're now retiring in droves. And to give a couple of examples, the state of Vermont ranks 2nd, only behind Maine in terms of median age, and at the moment we're somewhere in the middle of the states in terms of the percent of people over the age of 65, but we are quickly going up that list, and probably within about 15 years we'll be number 7 or 8 in terms of percent of people over the age of 65. So nationally it's a phenomenon, but it's a particularly significant phenomenon in the state of Vermont. That is, we are an aging population.
Now, you mentioned your involvement with some of the medical school students. Is this on their radar at all, or are they more thinking about other areas of medicine?
I think geriatrics and geriatric practice continues to be a relatively low priority for most medical students. One of the things that we're going to be trying to do, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, is to double our efforts at encouraging not only medical students but also undergraduates to begin to think about careers in geriatrics and gerontology. But quite honestly, I think it remains pretty low on the radar of most medical students.
Well, research is another core of the center, and one of the things that you've done is to establish an annual research award. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, it's actually named for Armin Grams, who was at the university for quite a while and kind of started the original Center on Aging. It's a $50,000 grant. We put out requests for proposals in the fall. We're about ready to put out our third year request. Last year it was awarded to 2 physicians who are studying fatty acids and their relationship to cognition. So it's a popular award. We're honored to name it after Dr. Grams, and it also is research that is around aging research, and our hope is that this small amount of money will launch them into research that will bring in more grant dollars to the university and further that research.
And so the center's third core is policy. How involved is the center in shaping policy in Vermont?
Well, I think one of the things that I'm really proud about related to our accomplishments is that we have forged a number of partnerships with community advocates and community policymakers around issues of aging. And as an example, or a few examples, we have strong partnerships with the Alzheimer's Association, with the Department of Disability, Aging, and Independent Living, with the Visiting Nurse Association, and most importantly, with people in the community and groups of people who are passionate and enthusiastic about advancing the welfare of seniors in our community. So we think we have an important message to provide to policymakers and movers and shakers throughout the state, and certainly my sense is that over the last 6 years they've really listened to what we have to say. And Jeannie in particular has become a board member for a number of these organizations, so we are at the table and have a voice in shaping the future of how people who are aging get treated in this state.
Can you give me an example of maybe a particular policy that you've worked on or are working on that relates to that?
We're actually contracted to sit on the Governor's Commission for Successful Aging. So we're looking at 3 areas: livable communities, long-term care, health care for individuals, and mature workforce. So we presented to the governor different ideas, things to go to legislation. So that's one area. The other area is that we are leading the conversation in Vermont around community health workers. It's a national conversation that's going on to determine state by state whether community health workers should be certified, whether there should be legislation around who is a community health worker. Looking at global payment coming forward, everyone knows community health workers need to be in there, but states are struggling with whether CMS or whether state Medicaid agencies are going to request certification for them to be included in that payment. So those are a couple of the policies that we're working very hard on.
It's pretty complicated issues. I mean, when you talk about aging, but then when you get down into the nitty-gritty of it, there's a lot that needs to be done.
Yes.
And so over the past years, Across the Fence has featured guests and information about support and services at home, known as SASH. And from the beginning, I guess your center has been involved in SASH. Maybe we can talk a little bit about that and what you've been doing.
Well, SASH is a great program that began as a pilot at Heineberg Senior Housing with Cathedral Square a few years ago. And it is now serving about 4,000 Medicare recipients across the state. It's become a national model. It had just received an extension for 2 years on funding. It's actually, the funding flows through the Blueprint for Health. So it's actually Medicare dollars paying for services at home, which was unheard of before. It also opens up a great opportunity for research. Our fellows that we're going to be talking about a little later, because of their robust data collection, and they're using electronic medical records and electronic storage throughout the state, they're able to share information, and so it makes it a very robust venue for researchers to go in and look at pre and post, and it's kind of a captive audience of elders that are willing to help researchers discover what's working, what's not.
And how does SASH exactly work?
Well, it started in congregate housing, so there's a SASH coordinator who comes in, and then there's a SASH nurse. And what that coordinator does is they do health education, they do individual, if a person says they want to be a SASH member, and the only requirement is they're Medicare eligible. So if they want to be a SASH member, then they have a plan of care put in place. So they look at all of their maybe chronic disease or health issues. And then the SASH coordinator helps them with education, helps them with medication checks, transitions between the hospital if they go into the hospital for surgery or something. And then the nurse is there to help with other things to kind of troubleshoot. But what's great is that they don't duplicate any efforts. The VNA is still in there, home health is still in there across the state, area agencies on aging are still doing case management, mental health is still in there. So they work as a team, but the SASH coordinator and nurse are kind of the feet on the ground, eyes that see these people every day, and so can kind of intervene when there's problems arising. And the statistics have shown they've kept people out of the hospital, out of the emergency rooms, decreased medication. It's a real successful program, and like I said, it's nationally recognized.
So who else? Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to jump in, Judy, with one statistic, which is that looking at the first 18 months of the SASH program, comparing people who are in the SASH program versus people who are not, the average savings of Medicare dollars per month is about $700 per person.
That's amazing.
Yep.
Who else is involved at the Center on Aging at UVM?
Well, Janet Nunziata is our education coordinator, and she's involved in most of the education and programming that the center does. We also have a faculty advisory group who we meet with quarterly to make sure that from the university's perspective we are staying on track and meeting the objectives of the university. I actually my relationship with the university is that my direct supervision is through the provost, and so I report to him in terms of the success of the center. We also have a community advisory committee of people who are not affiliated with the university, so that we can be kept abreast of what's going on in the community and what they view as priorities that the Center on Aging should be involved with.
And so what are some of the things that the center is going to be pursuing in the next 5 years?
So I think the most important thing, and I believe this is public knowledge, that the university will at some point be launching a capital campaign to raise a significant amount of dollars to support programs throughout the university. And the university 2 or 3 years ago developed a list of priorities that'll be supported by this capital campaign, and we were able to get 2 of our priorities on that list. One is to support the recruitment of a director of gerontology and geriatric education, and we'll be looking to recruit a MD or PhD who'll oversee gerontology and geriatric education not only in the medical school but across the university. And that will require a $3 million gift for an endowed chair. So that's one priority. The second is to continue to support our student fellowship. We currently support either a medical student or a nursing student for 1 year to have a focused experience in geriatrics and gerontology, and we've always had to scramble to find the money to support that fellowship. So another priority that the capital campaign will support is a $2 million endowment to sort of put that fellowship in perpetuity. So I'm looking forward to those 2 programs coming online, or those 2 funding opportunities coming online, and also we're looking forward to continuing the programming and the relationships that we've already established.
And so, Jeannie, how can our viewers get more information about the Center on Aging if people have questions or want to find out?
Well, the best place is to go to our website, which is www.uvm.med/Center on Aging, or you can just Google Center on Aging at the University of Vermont.
And is that something that you would encourage families to pursue too, just if they want information in general?
We have a lot of links to providers throughout the state. We have links to support groups, and we keep it pretty current with a lot of updated information on trainings or talks and things that are going on around aging. Would you say education is probably the key to what you folks are all about?
I think that's our number 1 priority. Policy is a close second, but I think our biggest success so far that we've been, since we started 6 years ago, has been around education and getting more and more people around the state, particularly those who provide services to elders, up to speed about best practice.
Well, I want to thank you both for joining me today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's our program for today. I'm Judy Simpson. We'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.